Hello and welcome to a Blood Pigment hobby video here. I'm Joseph and I'm going to be working on a 6th rate frigate today. This might not be the most interesting video in the world, but I just opened it up and I'm going to clean up the hull up, get it ready to prime. This is what's in the box. You've got your hull, ship card, rigging bits, and mast pieces, rigging guide, and then bag of light cannons, swivel guns, and cannon tips, and a lot of elastic line here. I'll pull all that stuff aside for now, and I'm going to just work on the hull itself. Hulls come in really nice shape, really, but there's always a little bit of cleanup to do. It's a big ship here, 6th rate frigate. Pretty heavy, but not nearly as massive as the galleon. It's almost as long, not nearly as tall or heavy, and it's honestly a lot less work than the galleon. Just to give you an idea how big it is, if you're wondering, I have this is a bark hull. Fits inside it nicely. 4 decks versus 2, much wider, much longer. Sorry for my creaky chair. And a Tartana. Pretty big ship. So overall, it's pretty nice looking, but there's always these gun ports that need to be cleaned out. These little circular gun ports. And here on the very front, on the prow, we got this big extra piece of resin I'm going to have to cut off. There's a couple bubbles here and there. I could fill that with green stuff, but I probably am not going to. I'm just going to clean off the junk. Just going to use 2 weapons for this project. Just a knife, and I got a couple files here. Files help me get the gun ports flat. I'm just going to get to work, start on the gun ports. I don't want to spend all my life doing this, so I try to work pretty quickly. Nobody's going to notice if your gun ports are not perfect. It's all said and done. Sometimes you have to whittle down a good bit of resin, but most of the time, just shave each side once or twice and you're good. I found the round gun ports to be a little bit more difficult, but if you just spin the file in there, it's not too bad. I do the step first before I even wash it because I get my hands all over it right now. I guess I could wear a glove, but I'll wash the whole after this. This is my second 6th rate hull. I painted one up as a nice Spanish warship, and then with Raise the Black coming out, I figured I had to paint one up like Queen Anne's Revenge, so I might go a little more piratey on this one. Maybe a little darker paint job. Maybe even a tiny little bit less historical, make it black and scary. We'll see. So once you get most of the stuff out, you can take your flat side of your file and just rub that down. Try not to breathe the stuff in. It's a pretty thick wall here. The shorter the galleon, the 6th rate frigate is. Biggest ship in the game, can hold a lot of cannons. pretty fearsome ship, really. I only got to play it once so far. It has the ability to take heavy cannons in one deck, which is awfully tempting, but then you lose your 5 speed, which makes you not feel so fast. I want to check how the gun ports look from the inside too, because sometimes you see different nasty stuff inside. A lot more nasty stuff. Anyway, that's one side. That's not too bad. Now we'll do the round holes. These ones tend to be pretty bad. And the knife isn't as useful because of it's not flat. Not bad. I find if you just, from the inside, you can just spin this file and get some more junk. My smaller file might be better here. All right, let's get to work on this front bit now. If I had my flush cutters, I'd just cut a big chunk of this off, but I'm not sure where they went. This is a lot of resin here. All right. There, I just ripped off most of that. So this takes some careful carving work to make it get rid of that ridge. A lot of material got to come off here. But again, this is a lot easier to clean up than the galleon. The galleon has multiple parts you got to fit together, and you have to green stuff some gaps and whatnot. So if you're looking for a big ship, this is the one to start with, in my opinion. The galleon has some real gameplay strengths, and it's pretty glorious and impressive, but this one is a lot easier to build, paint, and I think it's more versatile in the game as well. Just getting there. These holes are so big, it's kind of hard to know how to hold them. When painting it, sometimes I just cradle it in my lap with on a towel or something. But now I got to get some leverage with this knife. looking better and better. There's a bit of a ridge here. It's hard to get rid of. Almost there. I find the lion's mouth can use a little bit of touch-up too. Good enough. So we got our 5 gun ports done here. Some of the lower deck gun ports could use a little cleanup too. Yeah, you can see a couple little bubbles here. They aren't going to be a big deal. We'll get this little plate in and you don't see that too much. I'm going to leave those. If you were super diligent, you could fill that with green stuff. But the back looks pretty good. Again, there's these teeny gaps from the cast. So also these funny blobs underneath sometimes look like little beehives or something. Let's see if we can get some of those off. Resin's pretty easy to work through. Mermaids are looking good. Flake there. This underside doesn't have to be perfect. It has some big holes, but nobody cares about that. Decks look fine. That's all I really do to it. Get the gun ports. The front really needs some work. Check everything else. I find these gun ports pretty difficult. Let me do those now. They're just not a great angle to work at for these ones. Bow chasers. Can't really come from the front. So easy. Get some from the front. Getting it. Just want to make these nice and square with a good corner. Good enough. Not sure I get my file in there very well. Oh, there we go. Good enough. All right, I still have the other side to do, but you don't need to watch me do that. These holes are really quite clean. Don't need a lot of work. Just spend 10 minutes on them, 20 minutes, and then you're ready to prime them up, start work, start painting. I'll be working on this project. Might do another video or two on it while I work on it, but I hope that gives you a good idea of how the resin holes come and what work is involved in getting them ready to paint. Thanks for watching.